Hello, welcome to this session of Talking Tech, Women, Girls, and Girls in ICT. My name is Habiba Aziz, and I'm a graduate student of data analytics at Queens College, City University of New York. Today, I am delighted to be promoting the Girls in Tech initiative. I'm excited to be discussing tech and tech careers with Dr. Eva-Marie Muller-Stuler, Advanced Analytics and AI Practice Leader and Chief Data Scientist for IBM. Talking Tech is a series of celebrating girls and women in tech being recorded around the world. Between Girls in ICT Day 2020 and Girls in ICT Day 2021. Girls in ICT Day is an international day marked on the fourth of Thursday of each April. In 2020, the Girls in ICT Day was on 23rd April. The objective of Girls in ICT Day are to help create a global environment that empowers and encourages girls and young women to consider studies and careers in growing field of information and communication technologies. The Talking Tech series is brought to you by the ITU, UNICC, and the Office of UN Secretary General Envoy on Youth, and is in support of Equals, the global partnership for gender equality in the digital age. Dr. Eva-Marie Muller-Stuler and I are pleased to be a partner on this session today. The goal of the series is to include, interest, and inspire girls and younger women with information about the range of ICT careers that can be had. Being before a broader audience, some of the role model women in tech and session about their career journeys and work offered diverse examples of how ICT is being used to support achievement of the sustainable development goals of the UN. Show initiatives that working with girls to support them in ICT studies for future ICT careers. Provide girls and women in tech with a leadership opportunity to represent and promote girls in tech organization with which they are involved and promote it to a broader international audience. To kick off this session, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Eva-Marie Muller-Stuler. With over 15 years of experience in leading large-scale data science and AI project and transformation globally, she has pioneered highly successful solutions with government and top-tier organizations alike. Having worked across many different industries, including oil and gas, energy, FMCG, healthcare, and the financial sectors, she is one of the IBM's distinguished data scientists, thought leaders, and a member of Academy of Technology. Her experience and passion for data science, AI, and innovation has made her a regular on the world's best data scientist rankings. Dr. Eva is a trusted advisor to governments on change management through AI and on the advisory board of the various organizations focusing on AI ethics. Dr. Muller-Stuler is a serial entrepreneur and a founder, investor, and advisor of multiple companies. She is author and co-author of numerous papers and publications, as well as member of various mathematical societies. So, Dr. Eva-Marie Muller-Stuler, when and how did you get into technology?
Thank you, Habiba, and thank you for inviting me today. I think I've always had a passion for data, sorry, not for data, for technology. And I come from a family where my dad decided to learn coding when I was 8. And so I decided to hang out with my dad and learn coding. I loved electronics from a very young age, taking things apart, putting things back together. And I think it was just a combination of yeah, my uncles doing electronics, me doing electronics, my dad being into technology. So I grew up with technology all around me.
That's great. What was your path from then to now?
So I wouldn't have said that it was always, I I wasn't always like sure that I wanted to do technology. Even though I enjoyed electronics as a child, I was always 100% clear I want to be a doctor or a brain surgeon to be more specific. I even studied after school. I started to study mathematics with a major and medicine as a minor, which is not a subject you can take as a minor. And it also, from pure logistics, the campuses were so far away from each other that I had to switch and drop from medical to business and computer science. I think it was a love and a passion then for math actually and physics that came through more and more. And I then finished university, started in consulting, started in financial restructuring, and then moved back into doing my PhD in medical physics and being drawn back into the more technical and data science analytical side, where we moved from smaller data sets and Excel at the beginning of my career to large data sets and MATLAB, Python, and state-of-the-art tools that we're using nowadays.
So add up to that, what's your job in tech now?
So I'm the leader of the advanced and analytics practice for IBM in Middle East, Africa, and Turkey. So I basically have different tasks that I have to do. One of them is the delivery side of the project. I have to ensure that our the quality is right, that the people know what they're doing, how to do it, the right focus, and so on, to ensure the quality that everything we do is good enough to have the IBM name on it. The other thing is really building the practice. So that is helping our client to understand what does it actually take to be successful in data science. What is it on the bigger picture, because it's not often not just about coding and developing projects, but it also includes questions like, do you have a strategy? Do you have a right operational model? What tools and technologies are you actually using? Do you have change management in your enterprise, and how are you managing that? And bringing all of that together, saying maybe it makes sense to have a virtual agent, and so really like supporting sales and helping the client understanding their journey. And the last, but probably most important, is the skills development, and saying, how do we build a strong practice of people who know how to do data science? How can they get better in their job? How can we develop the skills in Middle East and Africa and Turkey in data science and AI?
Since you do a lot of work, so do you have any activities beyond your job that you'd like to tell us about?
I do love my job. It is a lot of work, and a lot of my free time activities um, often are actually similar to what I do in my job. So, for example, one thing I enjoy is teaching at universities, um, mentoring companies and startups. But I also love sailing. I'm a big sailor. I do like a lot of sports. I'm a very active person. I think I'm very lucky that I don't enjoy watching telly. So I have very little TV and Netflix time in my life, and that actually gives a lot of time to do more interesting things.
So let's move back to technology. So, what do you like best about your job or technology?
I think, there are multiple things. So one of them is it is very different every single day. So one day it's very challenging from a mathematical point of view, from a technical point of view, on saying how can we actually translate this problem into a data science problem? How can we solve it? And breaking that down. Especially unexperienced data scientists often think you can solve everything by just throwing a neural network in it. And there's a little bit like teenage cooking, we throw everything into the microwave. But if you actually prepare your ingredients in a good way, there might be other algorithms and other mathematical techniques that solve the problem much better. And this taking the business problem and breaking it down and what does it mean mathematically is one thing that I love. But then it's really, it goes along the whole spectrum. So sometimes it's presentation skills, sometimes it's motivational skills. I love the um being a role model for young women and saying no, there is a career for women in tech, and seeing that you can actually inspire people and change their careers at points where they are already about giving up, and saying, oh, I'm not worth it. That is something that really gets me out of bed. It's something I love. And so it's the diversity of all of it.
So let's go along, with this line. Can you share an example, or let's say just two, of things you have done in tech industry which you're particularly proud of?
Yes, what I love about it is you can impact millions of people in with just a simple fully deployed model. So one thing that I'm very proud of was an early project where we were um, building banking, the underbank, and it was looking at 10,000s of different data signals on saying, if we don't know about something about somebody and they come out of the blue, how can we tell that they're actually serious about repaying the loan? If you have no banking history, you wouldn't get access to a loan or credits. But when you really build good models, you're able to say, by looking at their behavior, by looking at the people, by looking at all the data points, we actually do think they're serious about repaying it. And this allows so many more people access to finance, to building their businesses, to getting out of poverty. It's beautiful to see that impact, that you can use data science and AI to support our SDGs, to fight poverty, to make the world more equal. Even building machines where you say, and that's why you shouldn't build it. For example, CVs that AI solution that understands CVs and suggest who should be doing what kind of job, or should they go into college or not. If they're built badly, it's really harmful to people because they are high stakes decisions. And by saying, if you look at this, and if you really open up the black box, you see that it's absolutely discriminative against certain minorities or against women. And being aware of that and pointing that out, I think that is a beauty that actually data allows us to do that we weren't able to do before. Another type of projects that I'm proud of is, of course, when it comes to working with the governments on making the country safer, or yeah, where you directly can impact people's life and make it a better life. That's what I love.
That's true. So, what's a lesson that you've learned along the way you would like to share?
I think one important lesson is people used to think that data science is about coding. It's about going onto GitHub or from your Kaggle competition, finding the perfect algorithm, and then you're good. And that is a tiny piece of a puzzle. Data science is, in my opinion, not innovation. It's corporate performance improvement. So it has to come from the business on saying, these are our problems. Can we use data to solve it? And that's where the thinking has to come from, and not from we crunched all your data and Fridays you wear brown shoes. That they're like, okay, but we're a swimming pool. Why do we care? It's so that is, I think, one important thing. The other thing is what we see in data science is the importance of diversity. If you have diverse teams, you're less risky to build machines that are biased. The whole challenge of deploying MLOps is something that companies often weren't aware of. They built POC after POC and nothing got into deployment. So The challenge of actually taking something, putting it into deployment, making it trustworthy, making sure that it's ethical, monitoring it, that is where your business value lies. If you're lazy on that side, if you forget that side, it will directly impact your business value. And the best protection for that is starting off with a diverse team, and not just with a 21-year-old white boys club coding the day away. They will not see the impact it has on women and other, um, yeah, people from other backgrounds and so on. And but if your team is diverse, the the risk will be reduced. And I think that is a beautiful outcome of data science. On that, yeah, there's a reason why the world is so wonderful.
Indeed. So, Dr. Eva-Marie Muller-Stuler, did you ever encounter any stereotype, like from the beginning of your career in tech? Uh, and were there, like, were there your male colleagues who were skeptical about you being in tech? And how did you overcome all of those challenges? How did you, climb the ladder up and up?
Actually, yes, and it's I did actually one of the big surprises for me was, for example, at university. I believe that if you have oral exams, you should dress nicely. For me, that meant a long skirt and a nice blouse, or and something elegant. And I realized in my written exams, I was much better than in my oral exams. And I also realized that my male colleagues got really easy questions about the first chapter in the books, while I had an oral exam where it was basically about the last two chapters that we didn't even really do. And after that, one of my friends, they joked about it and said, "Oh, maybe you should dress more like a boy." And if you dress like a girl, nobody thinks you can do math. And from then on, every time I had an oral exam at university, I was wearing this really weird gray trousers with a beige jumper, and it looked like I tried to dress up, but I couldn't. I didn't know how to. And I was wearing glasses and no makeup, and suddenly my questions got really easy. So it was mind blowing how bad the difference was. I have even recently, with my last promotion, I had a colleague saying we're not friends anymore because he was upset that me as a woman got the job and he didn't, even though he wanted it too. Where you kind of like, but you weren't qualified. So, and would you have reacted the same way if I'd been a man? But these are, I think they happen, and they happen to everyone. Um, it's a question on how you deal with it and how you get kind of like over it. And that's why the network is so important. That's why it's important to work for a company that doesn't tolerate that behavior, where you have the backing of all your leadership and saying, no, we took you for that position. It's absolutely ridiculous, because you're the best qualified. So a strong network that keeps you sane is very important.
That's great. So, let me just ask you, have you encountered any challenges along the way? And if so, how did how did you overcome them?
Yes, I did. And I actually, if I'm really honest, I don't believe it when women say they didn't. Um, I, I'm happy that I did my PhD, because so often I get the feedback, oh yeah, but you're a woman, you're not technical. Especially in a leadership position, there is the assumption that as a woman in a leadership position, you're there because you're good with people. But actually, being good with people is something I had to learn on my way. Being technical was something I love. And I think that is definitely something that where I'm glad that I have my PhD, where I'm glad that I'm so um, very technical, that I can say, no, this is I know what I'm talking about. but it does sometimes play a role, and you do sometimes see it in meetings where um, somebody says something with no background at all, but it carries some weight, and you kind of like, on which basis, please?
Okay, so let me ask my last question. Since this series is about girls and women technology, do you have any career or tech advice for girls and younger women in tech? Let me add, I'm also in this group, so what?
Definitely. So I think there are various things. So one of them is follow your passion. The beauty about data science is not just the coding, it's not just the programming, it's not just the data. You have to combine it with something you're passionate about. So there are data scientists working for Universal Pictures. There are data scientists working for pretty much in retail, in fashion, in every place of the world that you can imagine. And I think that is if you can combine your technical expertise and then with a outside passion, then you're in a really good spot. I also think that it's important to yeah, be technically strong. There's no way around it. um, and yeah, just don't let anyone stop you. I think that's the most important. Find a good mentor. I have what I would call my team Eva, which is my mentors, my coaches, my people who inspire me, the International Women Forum, and so on, where I can bounce ideas back and forth. And if you have a strong support team, that's, I think, the best thing you can do to build your career. So Habiba, tell me a little bit about you. How did you get into technology?
So I am from basically from a small town, and my and my family, like it's a tradition that girls will go to medicine and boys will do engineering. So I was the complete opposite of that. So I picked computer science during my high school as one of my majors, and then that's how I started taking my baby steps. And I did my undergrad in GIS and remote sensing. So, and my minor was computer science. So that was interesting. And then I moved to New York. So I did a year of certificate course from Baruch College in web design and development. There I encountered a professor, Professor Iofi. So he was a self-taught coder. So I got really inspired by him. He was one of my role models. So through that, I decided that I have to set my foot in technology, and then I got enrolled into my master's program for on data about data analytics and applied social research. So I now I figured out that my passion is big data. So that's pretty much how I got into that.
And what do you like most about it?
Um, it's as you said, data science. It's not like just the technical part. It's a I would say it's both like it's science and art. I would say about data science, because you have to be good coding wise, and you also have to be good storytelling wise. How are you going to, how are you going to convey your message to your audience? How are you
Yeah.
going to tell them like through a story? How are you going to persuade them, hey, this is the trend of climate change or whatsoever, and how are, what are the predicted models? And it's interesting. It's like beyond words, because every single day there's something new in data science that I.
True. Yeah. That is really true. It's a never-ending story. You can learn every single day, and the storytelling is so important. The visualization on, like, it doesn't matter how smart your model is. It's yeah, like in cooking. If you don't present your food in a nice way, nobody wants to eat.
Yeah, it's both science and art, so you have to be
Yeah.
good at both.
True. Yeah. What are your plans and next steps in tech?
So I'm going to graduate in spring 2021, and most likely I will pursue I'll pursue a career in data science, and I will hunt for a job, and along with that I will also explore my options for a PhD program. So
Okay.
that are like, my 3 steps so far. So I hope everything goes well.
Do you have a certain project or a certain idea, like an area that you want to focus on, or are
I
you
would,
still open?
I like, I love to focus on healthcare. Like I have worked on mental health and smoking and alcohol consumption. I worked on that project now, so I'm thinking to deep dive more into the healthcare problems.
Wow, that sounds really interesting. Do you have any messages for other young women in tech? Yeah, or maybe not so young women in tech, for companies and organizations that you would like to share?
Um, I would like to tell, like, I would love to, I would actually, this is interesting to tell because whenever you go out there, being a girl, it's somehow it's skeptical for companies that, okay, she is a girl, so maybe her technical part, the technical aspect is not that strong. So I just want to tell them that, hey, um, we are out there and we want to like pursue careers in tech, so please look out for us. It's not like that, being a female means that you are not so strong in technical skills or coding skill. It means that we are ready to accept any challenges, we are ready to be there, we are ready to code and work on models and so on.
And it's definitely something I've seen in my practice is there are so many amazing women out there, great coders and so on. And one of the comments I get so often is when I say I'm a chief data scientist, they say, "Oh, you don't look like one." And I'm kind of like, "Yes, and you don't look like a person who judges people by their look." And here we are. So you don't look like a data scientist. You don't look like a sportsman. Okay, you can look like a sportsman, but you don't look like a lawyer or whatever you decide to do. Because in the end, our brains all look the same. And by judging people by saying, okay, no, but I expect my coder to look a certain way, you're closing your eyes to so many amazing talents. And I see that in the practice all the time that I hear it with conference saying we don't find women. There are enough women there. You definitely can find 50 women to speak on a conference that are top notch in data science. It's not that difficult. It's often just laziness.
That's
Mm.
true. So that wraps up our session for today for talking tech, women, and girls in ICT. Thank you so much, Dr. Eva-Marie Muller-Stuler. I really enjoyed our chat today. Thank you so much for our viewers for watching this. Thank you.
Thank you, Habiba, for
Thank
inviting
you.
me. I really enjoyed it too. Thank you to the audience.